Hello guys, welcome to late Sunday night's Banter Blitz. So this week on Sunday, because of my exam that took place on Friday and Saturday, so actually it was a German language exam, very important one, already the intermediate level, so I actually did my best to pass it, but still don't know the results. As usual for this test, I have to wait for several weeks. So it is already in the past and we can focus on some chess. So there are not so many challenges today, and actually only the one from the guy I have never played before, so Chess Spear, just like the Shakespeare of chess, I think. So let's check it. Okay, 3 minutes, but I don't really like to play 3 minutes when I'm doing the Banter Blitz, but well, it is only one challenge from a newcomer to this show, in the sense of this show, so I will accept it anyways. So let's do it. Here we go. I'm playing with black, so let's see. E4, E5. Knight c6. Scotch. Well, not really. So it is another line. So here I usually play knight to d7. Yeah, I'm a serious guy actually. I'm a serious chess player, but my t-shirt tells another story tonight. I know. But it's time to come up with something new, right? Even if it is just a t-shirt. Okay, I have a lot of ugly pawns, but they are at the same time extra pawns. So knight to f6, I guess, absolutely normal. Protecting e6 pawn and preventing queen h5. Well, I can even play c5 here, I think. I have a strange feeling that I have extra material in addition to pair of bishops and potentially good center, and also great chances to attack on the king side simply. Alright. So e6 is not a move. It's very tempting, it looks like a standard reaction. But in this concrete position it gives white nothing because there is no longer a light squared bishop on the board, so white can't actually exploit the weaknesses. Andrey, next time with suit and tie, please. Okay. Maybe I will do this during one of the winter shows. Okay. 92. Well, there are a lot of different interesting continuations here for black, including just e5 move, knight e5, bishop e5, rook e5, knight g4, attacking everything. Rook goes to e2, queen jumps to h4. Knight g4 immediately looks very good. Simply bishop to b7 looks interesting. Bishop d7, queen e8 followed by queen h5 and so on. I don't even know what to choose here because really almost everything looks very, very good. So takes there. Okay, let's try e5. I know I just lose the pawn after that, but let's pretend I sacrifice it. Oh, my opponent decided not to take. Okay, so let's go further. e4, now what? Probably just h6. Aha, that is interesting. But what about just protecting d5, because there was the only problem in my position. I mean, Henning d5 pawn. So if I take on g5, takes g5, knight goes away somewhere, queen d5 check. So after c6, there is no queen d5, which means knight on g5 is definitely Henning. And if knight goes to h3, well, I'll probably just take it with the bishop. No, the knight doesn't go away. I can't believe this. Serious, so I'll just capture it. Now extra minor piece. Alright, it is kind of a trick, but I think I can simplify position with the bishop h2 if I want. It's possible. So let's do it. Check. Then queen takes d5 simply. Still extra minor piece. Wasn't necessary, but looks just natural. Now what? Just to continue development. Rook takes f2. Looks also winning, but let's start with the development. Yeah, blockading this pawn was very important thing. And the time. Time is even much more important thing here right now. Is there a checkmate out there? I mean, somewhere. Yeah, there should be. F8 is controlled. Yeah, interesting game, but well, white played very strange opening. Quite strangely in the opening stage, that's what I mean. So opening was just normal until this e6 move. Well, okay, e6 is possible, but as we can see, it doesn't give white anything. So knight c6 was probably a move here, but this also gives black a tempo development, like queen d6, attacking the knight, then knight goes away to d4. Again, the same c5 is possible, or even e5. e5 is even better here than e4 and so on. So black is simply better. A pair of bishops, better center, everything is almost better, and even development is better. So I don't know, e6 is not a move. After bc6, it's much better to take on d4 with the knight. And after knight b8 to castle. That is something standard here. Because in our game, it was quite simple for black to choose the plan, like, okay, e5. I thought white would take on e5, actually. And I planned to do something like this, attacking the rook, forcing it probably to e2, protecting f2. Where after I can continue with the queen h4 move, attacking h2 and f2. There is also quite tempting to play queen d6. Bishop a6 is also a great alternative, just attacking the rook. And if rook goes away, I take on f2. So there are a lot of interesting things, but I still think that knight takes e5 was better than giving me a chance to play e4. After e4, black's position is already overwhelming. Okay. So let's have a look. At the moment we have a bit more challenges. So I just want to check. Oh, Chuck Norris. Great. I will play Chuck Norris from Poland because we have never played before. So everything is according to our standard procedures. So first 3 games against guys I have never played before during the shows. Okay, knight of 64, Scandinavian. So as far as I remember, if white plays knight c3 here, then e5 is coming. So I will start with the knight f3 move. Bishop g4. Okay. Knight to c3 should be a move. I thought Chuck Norris was from Texas. Well, he moved. He moved. Didn't you know? It was in all media. Chuck Norris moving to Poland. Come on. Bishop goes to h5. There is very tempting possibility just to play g4 and knight e5, just like in Scandinavian with the queen d5, typical maneuver. And I don't see the reason why not to do this. So g4. Bishop g6 and knight to e5. Looks good. It doesn't really matter what you do against Chuck Norris. You can be passive, you can be active. You'll be dead anyway in several minutes after the start of the interaction, but I will try my best to survive it. Knight c6. Now I have an interesting choice between taking on g6 and taking on c6, but I have a feeling that taking on c6 should be more sound here. Yeah, because this pawn on c6 looks very bad. Just very bad. Yeah, but maybe I just overestimate my pressure against c6. I don't know. Let's see. At the moment, I have just a direct threat of taking on c6. Yeah. Queen d7 or queen d6. Queen d6, c5. So queen d7 probably. Or king d7. Yeah, but king d7 is kind of harakiri. And by the way, after queen d7, it's not clear how to continue the attack. It's possible, of course, to try something like queen f3, but then knight takes c4 is, well, not that clear. Maybe I just don't see the follow-up. So let's see, queen f3, directly attacking c6. If knight takes c4, queen takes c6, queen takes c6, come on. Attacks the rook and knight c4 simultaneously. So if queen takes queen, bishop takes, check, takes a8. This looks good. Knight can go back to b6, but I just take on d7, take on a8. I win some material. So to queen f3, most likely black will just castle. Black will just castle. Alone. And then I take on c6. Okay, it's possible, but not that promising. Alright, so maybe just to do what? No, position looks absolutely winning already, but let's just castle. I don't know. Let's start with this move. Black can take on c4 if he wants, but then I will just attack c6 with all my power. Bishop b4. Maybe there was a better way to play this with white. I don't know. It looks very strange position. Very strange position. Chuck Norris can kill 2 stones with 1 bird. Yes, that's true. I saw that myself. And I have a feeling that there will be something like this. Yeah, absolutely normal reaction. Now I have problems with converting it to something tangible. Queen to b3. Or knight to c5. Knight c5, takes c5, takes c5, takes d1, takes d1, takes c4, bishop c6. This looks interesting. Well, let's try it. But I wanted to achieve a much better position if compared to what I can achieve after this. So I think, yeah, queen d1 is forced. Now I have some pressure, right, because of my pair of bishops. There is a question what to do first, to take on c6 or to start with the b3. Because if I take on c6, I think there is something like rook to d8. Could be unpleasant, so I'll start with the b3. Now, I can do this, develop a move attacking the knight. And very soon I will get to black's weaknesses, finally. So now I can feel the advantage already. Pair of bishops, c6 is weak, d6 is a great outpost for my bishop. There are also some problems with this guy on d3. Maybe immediate bishop f1 was better. No, then knight b4 and knight d5. Yeah, so exactly this way is correct. So now the knight has no moves. Yeah, looks winning, but yeah, I'm playing against almost a god, so have to be careful till the end. Extra minor piece. Oh, there is an interesting target that I didn't see immediately, but now. Yeah. Okay, I was lucky in this game because I have a feeling that after knight takes c6, there was a better way to do to perform this attack against c6 if compared to what I did. So all of a sudden I had some problems. Well, bishop g2 of course looks very natural. It's very hard not to make this move. Queen goes to d7, and now maybe castling was not correct. Maybe castling was not correct. So the problem with the c4 pawn hanging, at the same time I didn't want to play queen f3 because of castling. It's still possible to play this with white, of course, but I wanted to have my queen on d1 in case black castles there, because if my queen is on d1, it's much easier for white to start the attack after c5 and queen a4. So maybe there was a move like queen e2. Yeah, so this looks natural because I have also at some point the idea of d5. And also, if castles, then c5 followed by queen a6 might be very annoying. And then just bishop e3. and to see what is going on. I don't know. At very least, white has a better pawn structure. That's why I don't like the idea of playing knight c6 here in general. But maybe with the accurate play, black could have achieved something better than this endgame. So let's see. I played castling. Probably knight takes c4 was possible. So if I play queen a4, then knight goes back to b6, bishop c6, knight takes a4. Yeah, it was playable, absolutely playable for black. Bishop b4 is also not bad after knight a4. I don't know. Maybe here something like a5, or maybe castling long. Yeah, castling long is interesting here, preventing knight c5 at very least. And maybe creating a sort of e5 with some sort of counterplay. But black should have done something because long-term pawn structure is just awful. So after castling, I was very happy to have a possibility to simplify position a bit. So maybe here there was a last chance just to go away with the queen somewhere. Yeah, it looks ugly, I know, but after this exchange of queens is forced, and look, I have pair of bishops and all his pawns on the queen side are weak, so I just collect them one by one, I guess. Even if I don't regain the material immediately, okay, long term, once again, I'm much better here. So, yeah. All right. So thanks for this experience. Knight b6, queen takes c6. Yeah, and that line I actually calculated over the board, but there was a possibility just to go away with the rook in that moment, like rook to d8, and I achieved nothing serious. That's why I was a bit afraid of this knight c4 possibility. So yeah, knight b6, if bishop takes c6, knight takes a4, bishop takes d7, just an exchange, and I achieved nothing. So black has pair of bishops, everything's fine. Yeah, unclear position. Okay, so let's have a look if we have somebody I have never played before. Yeah, here is Fighting Spirit. 5 minutes, so the last game. Prior to getting back to normal order of challenges. So, let's go. So, Chronic Student says he's nervous. So, probably you prepared something special. That's why you're nervous. You just think of me getting into your trap. That is probably the reason. So I have to be extremely careful against you today, Chronic Student. Yeah. Of course, everything depends on the color of my pieces. So probably I will be lucky and will play with white. So it will be not that simple to surprise me there, but who knows, maybe you will play Karkan. Alright. So bishop d7, everything is according to the known and well-known theory that leads to slightly better position for white. A4. Okay. And here knight goes to a5, not to b6. So what is going on here? Queen c7. Now rook to c8, I guess. So now can I play c4? So c4, b4, knight b3, rook takes, bishop takes b3, takes b3, and queen takes b3. No, I can forget about this idea. All right. So instead, what can I do instead? There is g6 possibility. Yeah, I think I have to play g6. Forcing me to play c4 or something. Maybe it's not a bad idea for me. I don't know. Let's try it. I thought White would play something like f4. So that is usually the idea behind bishop e3 knight e2 maneuver here. But well, there are so many different ideas, so it's very hard to tell which one will be the best at a concrete moment. So, especially when you play Blitz. Unless you have just a perfect knowledge. I don't, so have no idea. bc4, I can take with the pawn, I can take with the knight as well. Let's take with the pawn. Just keeping position a bit more complicated for white and for black as well. So bishop c2. Now there is a possibility just to play knight b3. I think I will be alright after that. At the same time, I don't want to hurry up with this. So maybe I will start with the bishop g7 move. A bit stupid position, but I don't think white has a better plan than playing f4 at some point. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a better plan. Okay. I have some perspectives now with this knight. Underestimated this possibility. Very bad. So now I think I have to play knight b3 because there is a threat of just bishop b6. So it's time to simplify position a bit. Yeah. Still not that bad for black, but I guess position becomes very simple. So not so many possibilities for black to fight for the advantage. I guess position will be just even very soon. But okay, let's see. So rook a1, queen c3, attacking both the bishop b3 and the rook on a1, forcing white to play something like rook b1 maybe. Queen c3 immediately doesn't change a lot, I guess. Yeah, let's take here first. Rook c1, I just take on b3, rook on c8 is protected. So it is a very important moment, by the way. Now I can try something tricky like knight g3. I don't think I achieve anything there. Queen d3 is also an interesting move. Attacking the rook. Rook b8. Kind of also possibility. Let's start with this. Now queen to d3, right? Yep. Attacking the rook, exerting more pressure on white's position. But maybe there is nothing. Looks very tempting position, but maybe there is simply nothing. Okay, I think I have to improve the position of my knight a bit. Now something like this. Have no time, by the way. Whew. Yeah, white plays quite good. I can't see how. I will break through this. Oh, now I see. Oh. Don't see. Just a blunder, right? And very pity. Oh my goodness, there is a checkmate. Whew, I was so lucky in this game. That's very hard to imagine even. Yeah. Of course it was already a worse position for black, probably even lost. Black still has some tricks as we can see. But yeah, to be honest, black has too many weaknesses here. So to have the proper compensation for a missing queen. Yeah, knight f4 was already too much. So here maybe something like knight c3 deserved attention, attacking both the knight and the bishop. By the way, an interesting move. Let's have a look at that. So knight to c3. The knight on f1 is hitting, the bishop on d1 is hitting. So bishop takes c3 looks natural. And now what? Do I have anything here? I think I don't. So it is the same shit. So I can take on f1, of course, and yeah, position will be probably even better for white a bit because of more space and my stupid bishop on g7. Something else instead. Don't know, position is quite complicated. Maybe knight to g3 deserved attention. Maybe bishop to h6 even. Something like this. So there are some tricks possible for black here, but I don't think there is something concrete. Maybe I missed something a bit earlier, somewhere here. After queen d3, rook b2, maybe here I had something. Like knight f1, queen f1. But what is next? Oh! Looks like there was a possibility to play rook b8. But there is also a trick like bishop c2. Attacking my queen. I can take on f1 here. Queen takes f1. And rook takes b2. Again, I have the rook and the minor piece. But it feels like a bit different story right now. Because the queen is under attack. The bishop on c2 is also hanging. I have the follow-up like bishop b5 here. So maybe I have some chances here. Maybe not. I'm not a computer to evaluate it quickly right now, but looks like there are some chances for black, for white as well, because of the extra queen. So yeah, I have no idea. Very interesting position, very interesting game. Thanks for this, Fight and Spirit. That was a real fight. And pity that you missed this checkmate. Of course, king h2 was correct. And taking into account my 6 seconds on the clock, I would have lost it for sure. Okay, now let's come back to normal order of challenges and yeah, let's play Simba. Accept. White pieces. There is a comment, Andrey, you can't be proud of that. Of course I can't be. There are not so many games, to be honest, that I'm proud of. So this slow Ruy Lopez with the d3, very close to Italian with the d3 as well. Here we go. And again, I already played several games of this sort with the open F file, but I have a feeling that my opponent reacts correctly in this game. So he also tries to get rid of my light squared bishop. I don't think it is a good idea for me to play bishop c2 here. So I'll just play knight d2. And now, queen e1 is typical idea. Queen e2 is also a move. What to choose? I think after queen e1, black can simply take on e4. Don't like this position. Yeah, I think position is already equal. Maybe black is even a bit better. Yeah, let's put the queen on e2. So now I have ugly pawns, but at the same time d5 square is mine. Or at least it looks like that at the moment. So I have some compensation, that's what I mean. But queen is going to c5. Very nice idea, very good. Well played. Well played. I'll try some regrouping. I still want to play knight h4, knight f5. So queen is needed here to support this move. f6, all right. This weakens a lot. So I'll continue with my plan, I guess. Bishop d5 now looks also very tempting. So bishop d5, e d5, where the knight goes, somewhere. Yeah, let's try bishop d5 now. After f6, there is no queen c5, I can take on e6. That's an interesting position. So my chat is stuck again. Trying to refresh it. Yeah. Okay, queen d6, rook d1. That is what I wanted to play. Is it correct or not? Yeah, why not? Looks very natural. And now I think here. Terrible shirt today, Andrey, says Clooney. Why? Because you didn't actually take part in this movie? Well, it's not my fault. Position looks very tempting. Very interesting. But I can't see a normal follow-up. So let's just increase the pressure a bit. Yeah, my opponent has more time. Position is complicated, so I'm in trouble a bit. Have to focus. That is actually what I planned. I don't understand what black is going to do now, because the queen is hanging and there are not so many squares to go away, because the bishop on e6 is also hanging. Just a blunder. So instead of c6, of course, it was necessary to go away with the king, maybe to h7, something like this. Position was complicated, but more or less level, I guess. Now it's lost. Well, my conversion is not very good. Maybe it's not that lost, actually. I'm doing a lot of stupid moves here. It's no longer lost, I think. It's lost for white, maybe. No, it can't be. Can't be lost for white, so. I do hope that it's still winning for me, but... My goodness, this is the stupidest game ever. I mean, I was absolutely winning with the extra queen. Now I can even lose the game. But no. I won it, just because my opponent blundered something, but I was very close to lose this with the extra queen. Can you imagine? Well, the critical moment was here. I think position was more or less level. First of all, I don't think that f6 was a good idea. So definitely f6 was not cool, because it gave me a chance to play this knight h4. Yeah, with the threat already, and also the point that bishop is hanging. So why didn't I, for example, play bishop d5 here? I thought of playing bishop d5 here, but I wasn't really satisfied with the result of this queen c5 move, just protecting the knight from this square, also attacking my bishop d5. Maybe I underestimated the possibility of b4 here. Yeah, b4 looks interesting. Yeah, and then queen c3 just rook to c1. Yeah, that's true. So maybe bishop d5 immediately was also a good idea for white. Still queen d6, then probably rook to d1, because I don't think that this is good for white. So knight takes c5, queen takes c4. White has absolutely nothing except for problems, so it is not a good idea. Yeah, don't know. I play queen f2, f6. I would have just captured on b3 maybe. Just bishop takes b3, a5. Why not? Black should be fine here. So yeah, I have some maneuvers, of course. I have some pressure maybe because of knight h4, knight f5. But my position also has some weaknesses. So queen e6 is coming and might be very annoying because b3 now looks very simple prey, simple target for black's pieces. Yeah, in general, long term, black should be better because of the better pawn structure. So I would prefer black here maybe. But I understand that for Blitz it is not that simple to make decisions of this kind, because you never know. You should have just enormous experience to understand all these things quickly. So I don't understand all these differences, I mean, that quickly. So it would be also a challenge for me to make a decision here with black. So after queen d6, rook d1, rook d8, I don't have anything direct here, because if I play bishop b3 here, then queen goes back to e7. There is nothing. So that's why I played knight h4, Corinthians red, knight e7. Now if my bishop goes to b3 or somewhere, queen has a chance to occupy c6 or b6. That's why I played queen f3, just exerting additional pressure. And yeah, c6 was exactly what I expected here. So it was much better for black, I think, to play something like king h7. After king h7, I don't think I have anything. So bishop b3, okay, queen c6 or queen b6. At least right now, I can't see a follow-up that gives white anything tangible in this position. But c6, after c6, of course, white wins the material after bishop b3. That's the point. Okay. Simba, you must be right. I have only one person on my ignore list, and I can't see King Muncher. Okay, that is not what I am supposed to read, actually. Let us continue. The next is Johann Wilhelm Möbius, accept. Yeah, it is a Star Wars t-shirt, Clooney. Come on. Not 30 years old. Just looks like it's 30 years old. Okay. So again, Ruy Lopez. And the main line. The main line of Smyslov variation. So, at the moment we're just repeating the game I have already played today against Fighting Spirit. Absolutely the same thing, by the way. Absolutely the same position. Okay, let's change it a bit. I mean, the way I played it. It was g6, which I don't think the best opportunity. I will try to do something like this. So I will try to fight for the a file. Queen e2, okay. Rook to a8. Yeah. Now I definitely have some compensation for white's advantage in space. But who knows, maybe it's still not enough. Okay, I have some problems with the b5, right? Yeah. So white is going just to play b4. Doesn't look very good for black, to be honest. Because I don't want to play b4, but maybe I'm forced, more or less. But b4 gives up c4 square. It will be just awful for black. My god. What about just to play c4 followed by knight c5? It will be too much, probably. But let's try it. Definitely not a good idea, but... if bishop b6, I take on d3. Now I have rook a2. No, it can't be good for black, of course. It's just very bad for black. Yeah, something is definitely wrong with the rook c8 move. Rook c8 is not a move at all. Or at least with the connection with this knight b7 move, it doesn't look good. Okay. Just a pawn down, but it's not the main problem. Main problem that now white's pieces, especially minor pieces, have a lot of tempting squares to occupy. This knight on c4 looks very active and very good. My main problem is my bishop f8, of course. It's too passive. But okay, we will try to arrange some sort of counterplay. So at the moment I attack the bishop d3, I exert pressure on e4. After bishop c5, I have some sort of control of dark squares. This looks good. And now there is a question, what to do. So queen c8 could be a move here. Knight takes d6, bishop d6, queen d6, queen c3, attacking the rook and the bishop. Rook goes to d1, for example. White is still a pawn up. No compensation. Yeah, of course I can take on b6 and play rook a3. I think I will hold this position. Queen b5 is also an interesting try, but then rook b1. Yeah, objectively speaking, I have nothing better than taking on b6, so I'll do this. Let us start with this move, restricting the knight a bit. Now I have to activate my bishop quickly. I think I'm not worse here. My pieces are more active. But do I have a chance to fight for something more than just a draw? That is a good question. Okay, so what's now? D6 is hanging. Blundered that. And there are some chances. Checkmate. Yeah. So, actually, that is how it works. You should never give your opponent's pieces so great activity like it happened here. So, only tricks have helped me, of course, to win this game. It should have been a draw, 100%. But okay, somewhere here, White started playing not very good. So instead of actually hunting this d6 pawn, I think it was better for White to play something really solid like knight e3. I was actually afraid of this knight e3 regrouping because now White has a lot of different ways of improving the position. But maybe it was not that dangerous actually. So knight to c5 still can go back. Yeah, maybe it's okay for black still. Sorry. So king g7, bishop to f1 was played. Knight to c5. Knight takes d6. No, this looks fine for White. Rook goes here. So here it was possible to play, I guess, knight to b5, for example, protecting c3. And I think I don't have anything better than something like knight to a4, where after rook goes to a2. So at very least it is a draw, but still better for white, of course. So rook goes to d2, supporting the d file. Yeah, and if I take on c3, take c3, d6, d7, d8. Yeah, I understand it was not so simple to actually predict everything here, having only seconds on the clock. But yeah, that was important not to give me the second rank at very least. Maybe it was better for me to play knight a4 immediately. I don't know. In this case, rook simply goes to c2 and I have nothing. So yeah, rook c1 was probably forced. Knight b5 I think was better than c4 because it also creates a threat of d6 and so on. And after knight a4, well, here it is already not that clear because my knight goes to c3, then to d1. I have some counter chances here, that's for sure. So rook b7, knight here. So this position looks already quite hard for white because in addition to knight e1, knight e3, there is also the idea of rook c2 at any moment with at least very strong attack. Yeah, so maybe it's not winning for black, but looks very promising. So in Blitz, it's definitely much better to play such a position with black, not with white. A bit earlier, I think there was a possibility for white also to play better. I don't think that bishop c5 was a good idea in general. Just giving up a bishop. I think after bishop c5, white no longer has this advantage. So after bishop c5, white is just slightly better because of the extra pawn, but actually this bishop was very important. So instead of bishop c5, maybe it was better just to go away with the bishop, or at very least to protect the bishop d3, so to have this dark square bishop still on the board. But, well, if white protects the bishop, then I can take it and bishop b5 is coming. Okay, so maybe somewhere here, I don't know, I played c4, I took on c4. Yeah, this position looks very promising. Maybe knight takes c4 is not a correct idea. Maybe bishop takes c4 was much better. Yeah, after bishop c4, we can see that black's rook is restricted, so there is no rook a2 move. There is a threat of bishop to b6, which is very annoying. So I think I have to play knight c5 more or less. So it is forced. We have the same position, but now white has no this problem with the bishop hanging on d3. So I guess white can continue with the plan of attack on the king side if he wants. Something like f4 looks very interesting now. So takes f4, bishop f4, followed by e5. Yeah. It looks like just a position with a big advantage for white, I think. Yeah. All right. Let's go further. The next is phenomenon, accept. And again with black. One more, Ruy Lopez. Okay. Yeah. D3. Slow one. So as we can say, I just do the same. h6, rook e8, bishop f8, and so on. I guess it's just fine. Now b4 looks very tempting. Just to make bishop c2 absolutely passive for a long time. Because as we can see, if white doesn't have a possibility to play d4, then it's true. The bishop remains very passive. So this is kind of achievement for black, I think. Okay, b4 is not the case at the moment, so probably I can focus on improving my position on the king side. Queen c1. h6 is not hanging, so what is the idea? Idea is probably to play queen to b2, preparing b4. Alright, let's put the bishop on g7 first, and then we will see. There are a lot of interesting maneuvers, including knight h7, knight f8, knight e6, knight e4, but after bishop d2 I have to protect h6 with the king, so there is no longer knight h7 possibility, but it's not that bad. I can also regroup my pieces the way just attacking b3, maybe bishop e6, rook b8, rook e7, b7 at some point. Looks just natural plan, right? Because b3 is vulnerable. Why not to attack it? There are a lot of interesting plans. So let's do exactly this. I can also consider d5 at some point. But d5 we can c5. So I think it simply gives white additional target. Not sure if I need it in general. Rook b2, okay. After rook is on b2, actually d5 starts making sense at some point. Position looks great, so a4 is also a possibility, maybe, potentially. So now d5, let's see if I can achieve anything with this. d5, probably white will just play knight to c3, ignoring everything. Knight to h5 is also a move here, preparing different things. No, a4 looks good right now. So a4, b4, takes on b4, and then a3 is hanging. But bishop takes a4. Yeah. Not very good. Not very good. Okay, let's start with this move. Slightly improving position. Oh. Very passive. Very passive. Is there a decisive flop already? Okay, let's try d5, just to start with. A bit more space. first material achievement, I think. After d takes c4, just take with the bishop. And it was very hard to play this position with white. So no space at all. And this weakness on b3, all this was very annoying, of course. There was, of course, a possibility to play a4 for me. Many moves. I go, and yeah. But I will show you there are some problems with this plan. So now I just go away, and I will probably just play c4 instead. Yeah, just like this. Yeah, so a4 was very tempting right after, actually, I played rook to b7. So let's have a look on this position. Yeah, here, so I played rook to b7, and after knight e2, I already started thinking of a4 move. Attacking b3, additionally, I wasn't sure about this. So b4, c takes b4. And if white takes on b4, of course I'm happy. I just play a3 and win the material immediately. That's what I saw. But I also saw the possibility to take on a4 here, counter-attacking. So now the knight is hanging, and I can't take on a3 because of rook takes b7. So my rook is pinned. Sorry, my pawn is pinned and my rook is hanging on b7. And if my knight goes away somewhere, well, white just takes on b4 and everything is fine. That's why I started with the queen d7, thinking of protecting the knight on c6 and protecting the rook on b7. After knight to g1, I also wanted to play a4, but then I saw this. Takes here, takes a3, takes b7, and queen goes to, let's say, c1. Attacking the knight, attacking the pawn a3. And again, position is not clear. Maybe white is even better here. Well, at very least, it should be just equal after white takes on a3. So I didn't want to do this either. That's why I started just going here and there, yeah, searching for a possibility to come up with a breakthrough, and also waiting for the right moment to play a4 or something like this. But d5 doesn't look like the move that simply waits for an opportunity. With the help of d5, I actually grab more space. Rook d1, d4. So now c3 is mine. I have at very least an interesting follow-up in the form of knight e8, then knight e6, b5, c3 maybe. If something of this kind like c4 and a4 won't work. That's what I mean. So yeah, very hard position for white. And I think the main reason of these complications was the b3 move. So b3 doesn't look like a good idea here. And in general, it's not very logical to develop the bishop on e3 here. e3 is usually the square for the knight to occupy d5 square. And in many cases, white wants to play d4 a bit later. For this reason, it's much better to have the bishop on c1. It's not clear where it will be better on e3, maybe on d2. There are a lot of different opportunities. All right, let's continue. And the next is Kramnik student. Here we go. And black. Yep. Exchanged Ruy Lopez. My bad. Let's see if I'm right. No. Okay, that is a novelty. One of very interesting lines in Scotch. Let's keep going. Yeah. I do love making this move, but of course it doesn't give black the advantage, but feels very dangerous, right? When the queen goes to a3. Okay, bishop takes d2 leads to what? Leads to king takes d2. Crazy line, but fine for white. So queen a5, as far as I remember, is a move here. So I just try to stop the king in the center. Yeah. And now there is a d5 possibility, and I think that d5 is a move, probably the main line. I don't remember, d6 or d5. Both look very tempting. I just don't remember which is better and what is the difference, to be honest. So let's play d6. As far as I remember, I played this line several times, or during normal tournament games. And every time I played this, I was successful. So I have a feeling that I won all the games that I played this with black. In fact, it is a very complicated position, and probably white is even slightly better. But somehow I was lucky because my opponents chose this line without good preparation. It feels like Kramnik student prepared something, but probably not this line in particular. Everything is according to theory, but I don't remember where this theory actually finishes. So 94. Okay. Now I have an interesting choice between d5 move, simple castling. I think simple castling should be correct. Just to start with the development, and then we will see. Yeah, I'll just castle. Okay, so queen is going to checkmate me. Very, very interesting. I have a feeling that I have a chance to take on e5 here. Let's see. D takes e5. What is going on there? If queen goes to g5, then I can play f5. And I'm fine. If knight f6, then g takes f6. Queen jumps to h6 with a sort of a checkmate. I can play e4, maybe. No, e4 will lead to what? To bishop takes f6. There may be something like queen a2 in between, and then e4. After knight f6, at very least I have king to h8, so let's just take it. Well, I guess knight f6 was a move. Anyways. Okay, now I can play f5, right? Right. Should be very good for black. Still have to be careful though. Easy Rider says black queen is somehow out of play. No, it is exactly there where it should be. Protecting e5, creating a constant threat of queen a2 check. So it's definitely not out of play. So, white simply runs out of resources, I guess. So now I think I can take on g5. e4 is also an interesting move, but I guess simple taking on g5 should be okay. I don't believe there is a compensation. So let's do it. Let's do it. And now e4. Give some space to that bishop. But now king f7 looks like an interesting prophylaxis. Queen c5 is also a try. Yeah, but king f7 should be played here just to avoid all this nasty checkmates, I guess. Oh, 39 seconds. I have to be faster. Yeah. So, very interesting game. Very, very interesting game. Whew. And was quite dangerous. So I think actually d5 was a move, not d6 here. So d5, as we can see, is the same if white takes en passant, and actually it prevents white from putting the knight on e4. The main idea here is if white takes this pawn, then I just castle, sacrificing some material but preparing the attack. So rook e8 is already a threat, and so on. So the king starts feeling very, very bad here. Whew, yeah. So it is actually the main line of this variation, and it's not a disaster like Kravnik student says. So yeah, the series starts somewhere here. I just don't remember all the nuances, all these complications. Position is really, really crazy. So king e2, d6, knight goes to e4. Most likely d takes e5 immediately was a correct move here, instead of castling, because castling was too careless after queen c1. And now, well, there are some problems. So after d takes e5, I do believe that the best chance was something like this. But maybe I just overestimated white's position. I don't know. So check. I mean, if I take, of course, I can go to h8, and everything is more or less fine still. But interesting what is going on here. After g takes f6, queen h6, creating sort of a checkmate. First I wanted to play something like e4, but bishop takes f6, I think finishes the game. Then I saw something like queen a2, but king goes to f3. And I also didn't see clear follow-up. Checkmate is still here. If I play f5, bishop takes e5. If I play e4, then well, hard to say. Maybe king takes e4, but rook e8 then. Yeah, bishop takes e4, then queen takes b3, most likely. Yeah, crazy position, I don't understand it. So it's very hard to evaluate it. But it feels like black is more or less okay, because there are a lot of checks possible. So to e4, maybe not to take the pawn at all, but what to do. So if king goes to g3, there is no longer a checkmate threat. I can try bishop d6 check with further attack, and so on. Yeah, so maybe this was possible for black. I saw this line, but it was hard for me to evaluate the consequences of bishop takes c4. Now I can see that I have some checks at least. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, so maybe knight f6 doesn't work. Okay, so what to play against d6? So I have a feeling that still e takes d6 is an idea. Another idea is to put the knight on f3 instead of e4. After castling, to have this counterplay based on bishop h7, knight g5 at some point, and so on. There are also some ideas with the h4, of course, but not in this position. Yeah, crazy game. Thanks a lot. Anyways, after knight b6, I was out of book. Immediate knight b6. Well, it's bad actually, because knight b6 is the main line. So I know that bishop a6 was very popular for many years. So this great games of Garry Kasparov and so on. But knight b6 is subjectively much better than bishop a6. Yeah. Okay. So the next is formless. So the guy who beats me every time. So let's try to make at least a draw, I don't know. And probably there will be Caracal. No, Sicilian. Okay. The smallest line with the bishop e2. Can I play this? I'm not sure. There is a g5. There is a g5 option. And then knight jumps to b4 with a lot of hanging material. But let's try this. This is interesting. This is interesting anyways. Okay, so I lost a pawn. But there are some targets on the king side. Can I exploit them or not? That is the question. I guess there should be some sort of compensation because of this weakened king side, but everything can be here. Position is very complicated, so at the moment I'm just 2 pawns up. Oh, sorry, not up, down. There was just a dream, right? To be 2 pawns up. To undermine or not to undermine? Why not to undermine? Let's undermine it. Very interesting position. Okay. I think I have to take this. This should be winning, no? If I take on g5, there is a e5 move. So maybe it makes sense for me to start with rook e6, but there is queen e8. And then I can take on g5. I guess rook e6 should be correct. Now I'm only 1 pawn down, and position of the black king becomes more and more exposed. So bishop d6 is possible now. Bishop e2 is also a very promising move. Knight d4. And knight d4 feels very cool. But then knight c3 followed by knight e4 is possible. Yeah, let's start with rook e1. Knight is going to e4. It's logical to prevent it. Now it's very tempting to take with the rook on e4, but maybe it will be too much, maybe not. But why not to take with the bishop? I guess it's also okay. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like I forgot about opponent's active possibilities, so let's go away. So. Let's bring the knight. Okay, there is a bishop f6 idea, right? Yeah. Bishop f6 followed by something like rook h7. So let's put the queen on h5. Don't understand this position. Should be somehow winning, but I can't see how. Can't see a checkmate. Yeah. First win against formless. That is good. That is good. I feel very good. So yeah, I don't think that actually bishop b2 was wrong. Bishop b2 was absolutely playable. I do believe that this knight to a2 was too much, simply. So let's have a look on this position. That is just too much, right? So okay, I'm 2 pawns down, but now I have very simple initiative. So I just undermine the g5 pawn, and I have some ways to black's position. Maybe again, I just overestimate my possibilities here, but I definitely have resources, right? And this knight on a2 is kind of out of play, and so on. Yeah, so after f5, we can see this. So I understand that if queen takes g5, then of course e5 was a resource. That's why I played rook to e6 to prevent it. And after rook e6, I think white's position is very good already. So black struggles to find the active counterplay. Everything that can happen here that white will just blunder something. But in fact, there is just a direct attack on the king side. So instead of knight a2, probably it was better to do something else. Kind of immediate f5 deserved serious attention. It also weakens the position a lot. But at very least at the moment it creates some threats, I guess. Alright? Yeah. Dunno. Maybe this approach is just too risky in general for black. But okay. Alright. So who is next? The next is Olaf. Let's play. And again with white. Look at this, 2900s. Again. It is already very hard to remember when I was 3000 last time. Many months ago. It feels like that, at least. What did that? Just g6 immediately. Okay. Let's play knight c3. So the dragon without knight f6, right? But the knight will come very soon. Yeah. So just the same line. So, yeah, there's a playable move. There are some interesting possibilities now connected with the weakness of a7 g1 diagonal. But, well, white's plan remains the same, just to occupy d5, to open up the e file, to exert some pressure on e7, and so on. h6, okay. Waiting for g5. Just weakening in position. And then goes to e5. Okay, so now I think I have a chance to occupy d5. Rook c8, c3, the typical move. Yeah, previous game was just amazing. Amazing challenge. Oh, a5. That is a strange move. This actually weakens b5 square, which I can occupy with pleasure. Now a4. Yeah. Alright, so the knight is going to occupy f4. Let's just prevent it. And what about f4 now? Should give me some extra material, I think. Unless I blunder something, for example, knight f4. Didn't actually consider this possibility. Don't know why. So knight f4, queen f4, g5, takes, queen g5. I will have some extra material, but extra pawn, right? And probably some play actually against the king, because the king will be exposed, light squares will be quite weakened. Yeah, should be all right. tricky move. So if I play bishop takes e7, queen goes to b6, creating threat of knight f2. So maybe it makes sense for me just to play h3 here. Let's check this. And now g4. g4, knight f4, queen f4, g5, bishop g5, h g5, queen g5. Looks double-edged, but I think I will be at least okay. Yeah, this game is also complicated. And now it feels like bishop d3 should do the trick. Yeah. Kramnik student says that I missed queen f5 in that line with knight f4. You're right. I'm probably just too tired already. Okay, let's take on f6. Defender of the knight e4. And now just rook takes e4 with the extra minor piece. Should be just enough. The rest is just to find the checkmate, right? Let's go there and do it. Should be not that complicated stuff. All right, so, well, where was Black's mistake? f3, bishop e6. Well, position was more or less level, in my opinion, somewhere here. Yeah, rook e8, very nice. So everyone is waiting, and actually white waits for this knight c4 move. After that, it's possible to play bishop c4, rook c4, and then to come up with the maneuver knight e2, knight e4. After taking on f6, for example, there is a typical plan just to play this position with a slight advantage, because this knight usually appears a bit better than that bishop because it is very limited. And black is waiting with this knight c4, trying to improve the position prior to playing knight c4. But a5 is a typical mistake here. So b5 square is a very important one. If black loses the control over this square, he loses a possibility of active counterplay. That's a problem. So I just played bishop b5, a4, and I'm fine already. So this position is, in my opinion, better for white already. Again, this advantage is not a great one, but black can already feel it, because there is a lack of activity. There is a big problem with finding active counterplay here. So black tried to do something on the king side, but white is just okay here. White controls a lot. So maybe knight c4 here was interesting. So after knight c4, bishop c4, rook c4, bishop takes e7, queen b6, black has some tricks. But I'm not sure that these tricks are enough. So I can take on f8 here, I think. Because after knight g3, hg3, I control h4 square. There could be something after rook h4. Creating a sort of knight g3 checkmate. Well, I'm still an exchange up, but it feels not very cool for white. However, I can play something like g4 here. Yeah, I think g4 is just good. So, I don't know, maybe it makes sense for black to start with king takes f8. Let's say king takes f8. King takes f8 leads to queen e2, attacking the rook and creating sort of queen e8 checkmate. So, yeah, maybe just to take with the bishop after all. The knight is hanging, but in this case I can put my knight on d4. Yeah, it feels like white is just an exchange up and everything is good. It was still not that simple to convert it, but it feels like a conversion stage already. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So a5. After all, a5 was the serious mistake. Just losing the control over b5 square and leaving black without counterplay, without active plan. Okay. Okay, so that was actually the last game because I'm already very, very tired. Sorry, those guys that didn't play today. Actually, it started with not so many challenges, but then there were more and more and more. So my performance today was not bad. If compared to previous episodes, I finally managed to win the game against Formless. Great achievement for me. So I do hope that I will gradually come back to 3000, but well, it will be a long and hard road back to my best possible shape. But I will at least try to do that. So at very least I finished the German course, so now I'll have for at least several months a bit more free time. So I will dedicate this time to training and becoming better. As for training, by the way, all the premium members are welcome to the Training Tuesday. Next Tuesday, the next episode, we will finish the topic of attack against the king with the completely training session. So each and every study, each and every exercise, it will be offered first to solve yourself. You will have 5 or 7 minutes to each and every position, and then we will discuss all this together. So thanks a lot for being with me today. It will be better to say tonight. Have a nice week, which probably already started for somebody, and see you very soon. Bye bye.